What is up, y'all, and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going over the walkthrough guide for the tutorial of Last Oasis Season 6. So one thing I want to point out is a quick tip if you are a new player. As soon as you spawn into the game, you can and will be killed. As you can see here, I was setting up my stream, and as I was getting everything set up, tabbed out, this person in front of me decided they wanted to kill me without any reason, clearly seeing I had nothing on me. People, again, will and can kill you, so just keep that in mind. But with that being said, we'll get on to the first task. Now that you have your first task, you will see gather base resources. Pretty much you will get fiber from the bushes and wood from driftwood scattered along the ground. Just go up to them and interact with them. Whatever keybind you have set up, it will tell you which keybind to use. Once you've gathered everything you need, you will then move on to the next task. The next task is going to be first weapon. You're going to want to go into the skill tree under equipment and unlock the beat stick at the very bottom. Make sure you click and hold to unlock it. Upon unlocking it, you're going to want to go into the crafting. It's C on keyboard or the second over from the left if you're on console. And under weapons, you're going to want to craft yourself a beat stick. After crafting it, you're going to want to equip it. Upon equipping it, it'll then move us to the next task of defending ourselves. In order to defend ourselves, you're going to want to use the right mouse button if you're on PC, and if you're on console, you're going to want to use the right bumper, and you're going to want to directionally block. So in order to block upward, you go up, block left, go left, and right to block right. It's directional blocking. And then after we complete this, we are now moved on to attacking, and the same with attacks, but instead you're going to use the left mouse button instead of the right mouse button, and you're going to want to use the right trigger if you're on console. Now that you know how to attack, your next task is to gather cacti from cactus. As you can see, I already have 11 out of 16 because I was hitting cactus earlier. And then once you've gathered your 16, you're going to want to eat the cactus from the inventory. That is I if you're on keyboard, or select if you're on console. And then you're going to right click to consume, or X or square to consume, depending on which console you're on. And then once we do this task, we move to the next task. Your next task is to kill one Rupu. I highly recommend, as a new player, only taking on one. As you can see here, even myself as a returning player, I struggled to take on these two and they both knocked me down. One thing to keep in note is that the aggro range for these Rupus is very far. So if you do happen to aggro them, just try to run away and they will eventually de-aggro off you, and then just find a different group or see if you can't pull one and kill it before the other one comes along. Once you successfully kill your first Rupu, you will then go into the crafting tree, equipment, and unlock the crude hatchet to make yourself your first tool. Once you unlock it, you're then going to craft it by going into the C on the keyboard, or the second over from the left in the menus if you're on console. And then you're going to want to make sure you equip it as well. After equipping it, you will then be moved on to the next task. Now that you have the hatchet equipped, you will then need to make a grappling hook. You will go back into the skill tree. You will go to the equipment, and at the very top is the grappling hook. As you can see, I already had it unlocked. Once you unlock it, you're going to want to craft it. After crafting it and attaching it, you're going to then want to use it. After using it, you're going to want to just reel in and reel out per the keybinds that it says, and then let the grappling hook go by using the same keybind that you used to use it. Upon completing the grappling hook task, you are now tasked with building a campfire. In order to build a campfire, you need to learn it in the skill tree. So you're going to go to your skill tree. You're going to go to crafting, as you see here. At the very top is going to be the campfire. You're going to also want to make sure you learn purified water. Without this, you're not going to purify any water. After learning how to build a campfire, you're then going to want to actually build one by going to the build menu, which is the B on your keyboard and mouse, or third over from the left if you're on console. Upon placing it, then you're going to want to interact with it, placing cactus in the input section on the left and wood in the middle section. After doing this, you're going to make sure that you queue up water, as you can see in the bottom left. I missed out on doing this, and I'm only burning wood and not purifying any water. After doing so, you're then going to want to go into the equipment in your skill tree and unlock the makeshift bottle. as well as equipping it and putting 5 water in the bottle that you purify from the campfire. After placing 5 water in your bottle, you are now tasked with wrapping yourself with bandages. I have already learned how to craft the bandages earlier, but in order to do so, go into your skill tree under equipment, and it's going to be the very top one. Upon learning it, go ahead and craft yourself some, as many as you like, more the better, and then go ahead and use one. As we can see, our next task is to craft and equip some armor. So we're going to go into the skill tree again, go into your equipment, and then as you can see here, all you need to do is unlock the shirt, the shoes, and the gloves in order to finish this task. However, if you'd like to make yourself a full set, you're more than welcome to do so, as long as you have the materials. Now that we've learned the basics, it's finally time to build a walker. So as you can see here, we're going to our skill tree, and at the very bottom, you're going to want to unlock this, Spider Walker. I know it makes no sense because it tells you want to build a nomad walker, but as you can see, as I was just hovering over it, it tells you that you unlock both the spider walker and the nomad walker. So unlock this. Upon unlocking this, you're going to want to place down the frame of the walker. So you're going to want to go into the B build menu, or the third over from the left if you're on console, and then under walkers, you're going to want to find a roughly flat spot and place it down. It tells you the full cost on the right side. Upon placing it, you're going to interact with all the parts. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's not very hard at all. Upon placing it down and finish interacting with the whole thing, you are then going to place some legs on it by going back into the build menu and placing legs on both sides. And again, you're going to want to make sure you craft both of them. Now that you have fully crafted your walker, you're going to want to select it as your spawn point as the very last selection in the menu on your walker. Upon doing so, you're then moved on to the next task. Our next task is to craft and use a tube spade. So we're going to want to go into the skill tree, and under the equipment, it is going to be the second from the bottom, as you're about to see here, called a tube spade. Upon unlocking this, you're going to want to then craft one. After crafting one, you're then going to want to collect the amount of sand needed to finish the task. Now that we know how to gather sand, you will then be moved on to the most difficult task in my opinion, which is building a base. As you can see here, there's quite a lot to this task, and unfortunately I wish they made it a little more easier for new players, as it tells you to build a maintenance box at the very end, but in my opinion this should have been the second thing to do after building a sand foundation. But you will see in a second why, as I will explain. This is the most important thing in my opinion to keep in mind whenever you're on this task. When going to the skill detect tree under construction, you're going to want to make sure you unlock this maintenance box first. Without this, you cannot unlock and learn how to craft sand structures. The tutorial should have stated this. I'm not sure why the tutorial does not state this. I spent so long trying to figure out why I could not craft any sand structures. So as you can see here, I'm starting off by placing the foundation. I highly recommend not being a perfectionist, as for one, this is just a temporary base to finish the tutorial, and two, it can be a really pain in the butt. This game does not have amazing building, and if the ground or anything is overlapping, as you can see here, the back end has a little bit of the ground overlapping it, and I can't really tell, which then does not allow me to build on it, which then I have to go back, destroy stuff, and rebuild. It's very time consuming, very frustrating. So again, I highly recommend do not be a perfectionist. Now, as you can see here, I start by placing walls after doing the foundation. I highly recommend, after doing the foundation, placing a maintenance box. Slap it down in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, this is just a temporary to get the tutorial done. After placing the maintenance box, make sure that you actually put stuff that is needed. It'll tell you in the top left corner what you need to have in the box in order to maintain your base. Without stuff in it, your base will slowly start to decay, as you will see here in a little bit, as I pointed out earlier, what I was having problems and why the order should go build a foundation and then build a maintenance box. So as you can see, I already have the sand bed learned. It is under the construction tree in your tech tree. It should be the second from the bottom. Once you place it down, you are then able to finish making your base. And this is why I mentioned the maintenance box, because as you can see, if you don't have all the materials needed to make everything from the start, I lost a bit of my foundation, and so now I'm having to run out and hurry up and gather materials for the maintenance box to be able to even build one before I lose my whole base. So again, I highly recommend building the foundation, placing a maintenance box, filling up the maintenance box with whatever you need, and then continuing on building your base. I also highly recommend anytime you place something new in your base, whether it be a woodworking station or any other station, check your box, because if your box doesn't have the correct stuff in it, everything on your base will decay, not just the stuff that's missing material wise. Now that you've finished, in my opinion, the worst task of building a base, you're now tasked with upgrading your walker, adding a cargo and water storage, as well as filling the water storage. So you're going to want to go up to it and interact with the storage. It'll give you the upgrades. You're going to only need to upgrade the tier 1 of the cargo and water storage. Upon unlocking these, you're going to then fill up the water, and then once you fill up the water, you're moved on to the next and final task. We are now on the last task. As you can see here, it's chilling at trading station. So the trading station will be marked on the map as a treasure chest, and it'll also be labeled as trading station when you scroll over it. In order to pack your walker, you're going to want to go up to this structure right here. Kind of looks like a wooden lift. Do not do what I did and interact with your walker, as I'm trying to pack stuff like a chest, or anything from my base is what I'm trying to do here. In opposite, you want to interact with the actual structure on the trading station. You're going to look at the structure and you're going to want to start packing. You're going to want to rent a personal slot. The first one is free. The rest of them are going to cost you money. You're then going to go to manage, and then you're going to look at your walker and you're going to interact with it in order to start putting it away. You're then going to want to replace it by following the key binds that you have. I have mine set up a little differently. Once you replace it, you are then done with the tutorial after you close out of the packing. Once you are done with the tutorial, you are more than welcome to go about and do whatever you want. You can stay on the beginning tile that you're on. You can move on to a bigger tile if you have the water source to do so. Other than
Like
that,
and
that's the
subscribe.
tutorial. You finished.